The night rain was falling hard when Emily Carter sat alone in her small apartment, staring at the overdue rent notice on her kitchen table. Her hands trembled as she tried to think of a way out. 2 weeks late on rent, no job, no savings, and no family nearby. Life had cornered her quietly. The sound of the ticking clock only made her anxiety heavier. She had sent out dozens of job applications, but no one had called back. Her bills were stacking up. Her phone service had already been cut once, and her hope was fading fast. She rubbed her tired eyes and whispered, "Just one more week." Then came the knock on the door. It startled her. It was late, and she wasn't expecting anyone. She stood frozen for a moment, hoping whoever it was would just go away. But the knock came again, firm, calm, and familiar. When she finally opened the door, there stood Daniel Reeves, her landlord. The hallway light glowed behind him, outlining his tall figure and serious face. He wasn't angry, but his eyes carried concern. Emily's heart raced. She tried to smile, but guilt made her voice small. "Hi, Daniel. I was going to call you tomorrow." Daniel gave a small nod. "Can we talk for a minute?" he asked, his tone gentle but steady. She stepped aside to let him in. The apartment was quiet except for the rain outside. Daniel looked around the small living room, noticing the half-packed boxes and empty coffee cups. "You've been going through a rough time, haven't you?" he said softly. Emily sighed and sat down. "I lost my job last month. I've been trying to find another, but it's harder than I thought. I'll pay you back soon, I promise." Daniel took a slow breath. "You've always been a good tenant, Emily. I'm not here to threaten you. I just wanted to make sure you're okay." She blinked in surprise. She had expected frustration, not kindness. "I didn't want to bother anyone," she said quietly. "I thought I could fix it on my own." He smiled faintly. "You don't always have to." The room felt different then. The tension faded, replaced by a strange warmth. Daniel sat across from her, elbows resting on his knees. "You've been here for almost 3 years, right?" he asked. "Yeah," she said, "since I moved here for the bookstore job." "I remember," he said. "You brought me cookies that Christmas." She laughed softly. "They were terrible cookies." "Still better than none," he said, and for the first time that night, she smiled genuinely. The rain eased outside, and the air between them grew lighter. They talked, not about rent anymore, but about life. Daniel shared that he used to play the piano before getting caught up in real estate. Emily told him she'd always wanted to teach literature someday. It surprised her how easily the conversation flowed, as if they weren't landlord and tenant anymore, but two people quietly finding comfort in each other's presence. After a long pause, Daniel reached into his jacket and pulled out a small envelope. "This is for you," he said. "Consider it a loan, no pressure. Pay me back when you can." Emily froze, shaking her head. "Daniel, I can't take that. You don't even know if I can repay you." He met her eyes calmly. "I know you will. You're not the kind to run away." She looked at the envelope in his hand, then at him. His face was calm but kind, the kind of kindness that wasn't for show. Slowly, she accepted it, her fingers brushing his. The brief touch sent a strange warmth through her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know what to say." He stood up, smiling faintly. "You don't have to say anything. Just promise me you won't give up." "I won't," she said softly. He walked toward the door, stopping for a moment as if thinking of something more to say. Then he turned back. "You know, you're stronger than you think. Don't let this moment define you." Emily felt her throat tighten. "You really believe that?" "I do," he said simply. And with that, he left. When the door closed, the silence felt different. No longer heavy, but calm. Emily leaned against the door, still holding the envelope. For the first time in weeks, she felt a flicker of hope. The man she'd once seen as just her landlord had shown her that compassion still existed. It was more than money. It was a reminder that she wasn't alone. That night, she couldn't sleep. She made tea, sat by the window, and watched the rain fade into mist. Every word he said replayed in her head. There had been something in his eyes. Not pity, but quiet understanding. Maybe he had been through his own storms too. Days passed. With the little money Daniel had given her, Emily managed to pay part of her bills and print resumes. She started walking to nearby offices, handing them out with renewed energy. One morning, she got a call from a community center that needed a part-time tutor. It wasn't much, but it was a start. She almost cried when she hung up. The first person she thought of telling was Daniel. She found him later that week fixing a light outside the building. When he saw her walking toward him with that spark in her eyes, he smiled before she even spoke. "Good news?" he guessed. "I got a job," she said proudly. "It's small, but it's something." "That's how every big thing starts," he said. They stood there for a moment, smiling under the sunlight. Emily realized how much lighter her heart felt. She wanted to thank him again, but instead she said, "I'll start paying you back soon." Daniel shook his head. "Pay me back when you're comfortable. Tonight you can just celebrate," she laughed. "Celebrate with what? I don't even have coffee left," he smiled. "Then let me buy you one." It wasn't a date, not officially, but it felt like one. They sat in a small cafe down the street, talking again like old friends. The city moved around them, but time felt slower there. Daniel listened more than he talked, and Emily found herself telling him about her dreams again, the way she used to before life got hard. As the evening light softened, Daniel looked at her and said quietly, "You're going to be okay." "Emily, I can see it now." She smiled, and for the first time, she believed it. That night when she returned home, Emily stood by the same window where she had once felt hopeless. The city lights shimmered against the dark sky. Her life wasn't fixed yet. She still had bills, still had uncertainty. But something had changed inside her. Daniel's kindness had reminded her of something she had forgotten, that small acts of care could turn a person's darkest night into a memory of light. She whispered to herself, almost smiling, "This was the night I'll never forget." And she never did. Because that night wasn't just about unpaid rent. It was the beginning of something softer, something human, something real. It was the night when hope returned quietly, carried not by promises or grand gestures, but by one man's simple compassion. From that day on, Emily kept moving forward, with new strength, new purpose, and a quiet memory that would stay with her for a lifetime.